let's talk about the fact that this is not actually what it should be printing. It's not going to say on the 1 day of Christmas. It's going to say on the 1st day of Christmas. And same with 2, it should be the 2nd day of Christmas. So we need to go and figure out how to make this work. So if I run this, it's still printing that, but if I run the test on this, it's going to explode. So it's saying that it's the line that's running, that's creating the error, is here. I can see it with the greater than sign, and it's saying that I ran the function called verse with the value of 1, and I expected to see on the 1st day of Christmas. So what I got back though was on the 1 day of Christmas, and it's showing these are the error lines here, and it says here it got 1 and it wanted to see first. These are not equal, so we need to fix that. So in here we need to create some sort of a structure that has the ordinal values. That could be, for instance, a dictionary if we wanted. It could be a list. It's going to be some way to look up how to go from a value like the number 1 to the string first, from the number 2 to the string second. So we'd like to have some sort of if I start up Python here and I create this ordinal, I'd like to be able to say ordinal of 1, and that should print back, first. And obviously, if I run this now, it's going to be a key error. So I'd like you to think about the data structure that you could use that, given a value like an integer, and remember that the keys of a dictionary can be strings or numbers. Really, any immutable value can be the number, the key of a dictionary. And so you want to go from this integer value of like 1 to 12, and it needs to return the ordinal value. Now, I have a little sidebar here to talk about shadowing, because you might be tempted to, since you're dealing with ordinals, you might be tempted to create a dictionary called ord. And what you'd be doing there is you'd be actually shadowing the name of a built-in function in Python, which is called ord. We can say help on ord, and it will tell us that it will return the Unicode code point for a 1-character string. So what that means is, for instance, if I say ord on the letter A, it's going to tell me that its ordinal value is 97, and this actually gets into the ASCII table, which we'll talk about a good bit more in the Gematria chapter. But if you look up, do a Google search for the ASCII table, then you can see that there's this table of the first 128 characters that were really used in computing, and the letter A occurs as in the 97th position of that table. So that's what the ord function does. If I were to create a dictionary called ord, and then if I were to accidentally try to call my function, now I get an error, an exception that says the dict object is not callable, which, especially to beginners, is going to be a wildly confusing error to read. And I know this because I work with beginners, and they will, for instance, create a dictionary and they will call it dict equals, and now they've just overwritten the dict function. And the same with list. Python's not going to stop you from shadowing the name of these very important built-in functions. So it's really going to be up to you to basically not do that. It's a little bit like the joke where the guy goes to the doctor and says, "Doc, it hurts when I do this," and the doctor says, "Don't do that." So that's kind of where we are. The best that I could tell you to do is, one of the things I could certainly recommend is to use tools like Pylint. So for instance, here is a program where I show that I've created this ord function, this ord dictionary, and then I try to call this function, and I run Pylint on this. It's going to show me that I'm redefining the built-in ord function. So that's useful to know. Make sure that you're using all the time Pylint, Flake 8. Later we'll talk about MyPy at the end of the book. And there are lots of tools in the community that can help you write code better that will make a lot of really useful recommendations. For instance, here it's saying we're missing a doc string. It's telling us a lot about our program that we could be improving. So use these tools, consult with how the community tends to write code, and try to stick to those.